think it's important that we got to keep improving. Did some good things against Vandy. You know, I think much has been made about Patrick. If he plays bad and completes 23 and 30 every game, we'll be all right. Now he's got to hold on the ball better and some of those things. But I think, you know, I think a little much has been made of his decline. Maybe played one bad quarter. After that, I thought he played pretty solid football. Got a good football team rolling in here on Saturday night. There'll be a hungry football team. You know, I'm impressed, really impressed with what they did on Saturday night. You know, I watched the TV, I watched it live, and then watching it on coaches' film, they held a very good Missouri offense to ballpark 280 yards. You know, 150 passing, 130 rushing. Very impressive. They've gotten better. You know, I think they've been maligned over that first game. You know, in Texas A&M, the wideouts they roll out there are as good as anybody in the country. And then if you look at it, they played East Carolina, who I think is one of the best offenses in the country, and they did a good job defensively against them. They played Georgia, who I think is as talented and as good on offense as anybody in the country as well, and they held them to a low total yardage number. And then talked about last week's performance. So this is a group that's getting better. They've got a D tackle that played really well against us last year, 97, Surratt. He causes some chaos in the middle. It'll be a good challenge, especially for our young interior guys. I think the linebacker, Sky Moore, who really started playing against us last year and then went on, I think he was their leading tackler. He's a kid that we tried to recruit here when we first got here. He's a true sophomore, really athletic, makes a lot of plays. Probably their best blitzer has created some pressures when they send him on blitzes. And then in the secondary, they're getting better. They're young, very similar to what we are at wideout. They're playing some true freshmen back there, and I think they had some growing pains early, but I thought they played really solid against some really good players with Missouri's receivers. So with that, any questions? Not going to talk about Coach Stoops is handling everything to do with the suspensions or whatever, so don't waste your time asking about that. Didn't affect our game plan. I know that'll be a question. It happened early enough in the week where I really start settling on things Monday afternoon and then on into Tuesday morning. So questions about South Carolina?
After looking at the tape with Patrick, could you pinpoint why the ball was slipping out of his hand?
No, I think he overgrips the ball some. I think he talked about that with you all after the game. And I think he started thinking about it a little bit. And I think that was the major issues. One of them was a fundamental mistake. The first one that happened, I think, on our second drive, he had the ball down low and had it one-handed, and that was a fundamental mistake. The rest of them, I think, are just a cause for overgripping, and that's something we worked on quite a bit yesterday.
Where are you with West and Mosier? Are they back today?
West practiced today. Mosier will practice tomorrow. You know, I think hopeful they're going to be available for the game. We'll see. You know, both kind of some finicky injuries. You know, West is the first time in my career dealing with something like that. So, but hopeful both of them will be back.
What was Mosier? Stoops said banged up after the game with his ankle.
No, just he was banged up. I'll leave it at that. He was he would have been being able for emergency duty on Saturday, but Nick Haynes was getting the job done, so we let him rest.
You mentioned after the game maybe trying to get your running backs more involved in the passing game. Are there guys that can do that better than others, or do you feel like they're all sort of available?
No, I think for the most part our guys are pretty versatile that we have at running back. You know, JoJo and Braylon, Mikkel, Stanley, all those guys really are pretty versatile. We can split them out wide. We can throw them the ball. I was really pleased actually on Saturday because I thought we did get them more involved. You know, if you look at, we really struggled with that the first 2, maybe 3 games of the year, getting those guys the ball in the passing game. But I thought that's one thing that we did pretty well in the passing game on Saturday, is getting them more involved. And I think that's going to be a big key this week. You know,
we understand that the game went on.
Why do you think you should?
I think just young. Yeah, I think just youth. You know, and to be honest, the first couple of games we had a lot of people open too. You know, so that a lot of times the backs are your check downs, and our first or second progression was open. And the other thing is we may have been forcing it downfield a little bit.
We understand as the game progressed that Nick Haynes started doing a better job. What was his problem earlier in the game?
No, that's his first career start. Yeah, just first career start. A little nervous, you know, especially you line up in your first career start and you start on the -1. You know what I mean? SEC game.
Let's shake anybody that wanted.
Yeah. So no, but he did. He got better. Yeah. He got better. Just some fundamental errors. He really didn't. He gave up one pressure, but he didn't really hurt us. He just didn't play as sound as he could have.
Coach, with the running backs, have you developed a kind of consistent rotation that you want to go with? I know at times there was like a couple series where Mikkel went, and then you kind of switched to Boom, then you switched to JoJo. Yeah. Is there any kind of rhyme or reason?
Well, I usually let Coach Scott handle it. We talk about it going into the game. we've got a pretty good feel for what each of those guys' talents are and what they're best at this point. So from a game plan perspective, we kind of devise things we think those guys can do well and get them in for those things.
Is Braylon separating himself there just about production, or is he doing things in practice that we don't get to see that helps make that decision that much easier?
Well, I don't know if it's an easy decision. I think all four of those guys are good players, and Josh, when he's completely healthy, he's a good player as well. He's just been more consistent. He has practiced at a little bit higher level, but he's been more consistent. He can do a little where some of those like Stanley, he's learning, obviously. Mikel's learning, they're freshmen. So Braylon, where he was in the system a year, and he's played college football in Nebraska for a couple of years, his experience helps, and he's got a better feel for all things in general.
What's the problem?
A couple of losses, even if it's just for a game this way a year ago? Does it speak to how much?
No, I mean, we got more depth.
Yeah,
we got more depth. We had a bunch of injuries last year, too, though. You kind of, what I tell the kids, and I'll say it here, too, is it's next man up. You just got to deal with it. It's not, things happen, and you got to be able to adjust. I kind of roll with it, whether it's an injury, suspension, whatever. You just roll with it, play the guys you got, and let's go win.
You said when Josh is healthy, what has been Josh's problem?
No, he didn't practice last week. He was available for the game. I think he's full. He'll be full, ready to go this week.
How's JoJo responded? You said he needed to practice better.
He had good practice today. Yeah, he had a good practice today. I was pleased with him. His confidence level is going to be higher now too, because of the way he performed in the game. I was really proud of him. He didn't, and this speaks to him maturing as a person. He was great on the sidelines the whole game. Kind of waited his turn, played a little bit early. Waited his turn, we got called upon, he produced.
A great answer to the question I tried to ask.
No, is that right?
I wanted to ask you, Stoops said that they've moved the Thursdays to sort of lighter practices, and then Fridays you go contact again. Has that changed the way that you've had to coach at all, and do you like that?
No, I do like it. And the reason I like it is we get more reps, because used to be in the traditional model, Monday was really light, practice hard Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday you don't really do much of anything. So now what we're doing is we practice light on Monday, we get after it on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday is really a walkthrough, but you get a lot of reps in a walkthrough setting, and then Friday it's a kind of a run through. Very short, but it's run through. It's more reps. It really works for where we're at as an offense. The young guys we're dependent on and things like that.
Does it help you start off faster? I mean, that was something Stoops said.
But if you look at it, I don't want to jinx ourselves, but we haven't scored every first drive. We've had productive drives, at the start of the games. I think we're playing faster in the games. That's you have to talk quorum. That's out of stuff that I understand.
Do you have a guy on your side of the ball when something like this happens? A couple guys get into some trouble that the rest of the team's going to look to as
from a leadership standpoint.
Well,
I think Patrick being the quarterback, he's growing into a leader. We talked about Swindle in the off season. I think Darian Miller, with the way he's played, obviously Braylon Hurd is growing in that leadership role as well.
Has anybody specifically, since this happened, said, "Hey, among your players"?
I don't think needed. I think the tone's set by Mark Stoops. Tone set. He addressed it, handled it swiftly, and moved on.
What is it you guys have? I just lost my thought. When you look at South Carolina's defense, what have you seen them progressively get better at doing? Are there things that you?
Well, I think they simplified. I think they've cut down on the things they were doing, and I think they're tackling a lot better. They're playing a lot better fundamentally. And if you look at what their defense coordinator, Coach Ward's done, his stats. That's one thing we do each week is when we introduce the opponent, I really look at the stats and his stats are incredible. He's played as a defense coordinator at South Carolina. They've played really, really good football. So I think early in the season, that A&M game was much more of an aberration than anything, because they've came back. And like I said, if you look, I don't know of any defense in the country that's played the type of offenses they played in this early in the season. And like I said, I think you look at that game on Saturday, and that was impressive.
All right, folks, thank you very much.
All right.